Welcome to the Boschcast with James Boschman and Denise Young, where we talk about Manitoba real estate and everything else that's on our minds.
What's going on, everyone? We are live. Welcome to episode 11 of the Boschcast with your favorite realtors in the whole wide universe, James and Denise.
Hi.
And missed you last week, Denise. What the heck?
Yeah, I was falling apart last week.
Oh, geez, we're all falling apart. Yeah. But glad to see you back.
Thank you.
And I want to keep bringing on guests. Last week we had Steven on, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah, it looked fun.
And kind of got my feet wet with like just having a conversation with fellow entrepreneur and business owner.
Yeah.
And I think it would be cool for us to keep doing that because it was a great conversation and learned a lot. So thanks everybody again for tuning in, checking out our little podcast, and feel free to like, share, subscribe with your friends, fam, and everybody else. And if you guys have any real estate related questions or anything, please drop them in. And we're always trying to bring helpful, relevant content to the masses, to the people who listen, and provide real estate knowledge and expertise. And alternatively, if anybody has any real estate related questions or anything for us, we're always happy to help. So whether you're a buyer, seller, or otherwise. Let's talk about what's going on in the market. Last week didn't really talk about what was going on because Steve was on the pod and I didn't want to bore him to death. But things are definitely a little bit more activity we're finding. We just had like a freaking April blizzard here.
Yeah, digging ourselves out still.
Yeah, but it seems like there's more listing inventory, stuff hitting the market. There's just more activity, more buyers, more sellers, which means like more houses for buyers to look at.
Yeah.
Some houses are going into multiple offers, but it really, really depends on the house, I find.
House and area are making a big difference.
It's really, really important that the house really shines and looks, pristine, and it stands out among the competition. But
if it's not in the right area, it still could take a little while.
Exactly. Not seeing like crazy, 10, 15 offers, but, seeing, 3-4 offers on stuff under that $500,000 range. And again, depending on the area, depends on the competition in that area too. Like if there's 3 or 4 houses listed, which we're starting to see more listings at the market as we're getting, closer to spring. We are in spring, but like closer to actual, like the semblance of weather. Yeah. I saw a really funny picture the other day on Instagram. Somebody posted, and it was a picture of somebody took of downtown. It looked like, downtown North End or Notre Dame area or something like that. And it was just a picture of a street corner. And there's like a business in the background, and then like garbage littered everywhere all over the street corner.
Oh wow.
And then like a snow pile that was obviously melting, and it was like dark brown gray color with like coffee cup lids sticking out and like a diaper.
Oh yeah.
And it was like Winnipeg in the spring looks so beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Well, it's totally true. When you drive around, like before we got the big dumping of snow, I'm sure, this will be melted in no time. But, just driving on the roads and looking on the boulevards, and it's like poopy brown color with like snow mold on the grass and like dust and dirt and garbage and debris and everything. You're like, oh my God, like spring looks so nasty, especially early spring before like the street sweepers come out and the guys are,
clean everything up.
Yeah.
A couple of nice rainstorms to wash it down the sewer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's true. Nova, since she had our dog, since she had her surgery, her leg surgery, we've been having to carry her out to use the bathroom in the front yard, and carrying her down the steps and taking her out on the leash. And we have a sidewalk that runs in front of our house, right? So it's a really active walking path for a lot of people that live in the area. And we've been taking her out to use the bathroom out there. It's just easier than, because our backyard is so snowed in. And oh man, we have to have like countless towels, and we have to always like wipe her feet off, because the minute I took her out there, like before we got this big dumping of snow, like there's no getting around it. She's gonna get filthy and dirty. And just I call it poop soup, but it's like the grass is just disgusting. Like I don't even want her walking in there, but what do you do? It's a dog. So she loves it. All the smells are coming out now that the snow is melting, and my allergies are just going nuts because of all the snow mold and everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hate it. Yeah. But hopefully soon we'll have it'll be summer, and then we'll forget about winter for a while. Market is there's still quite a bit of activity. Interest rates, I noticed they're come down a slight hair. I think the last thing we talked, they were like 4.69 or something like that. It's like 5.49, 4.59 right now.
I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
5.49. That's a little high.
Wrong direction.
4.59. And I was talking to a mortgage broker, not this week, but last week. And he was saying he had a client who came in. It was a quick possession deal. So on a purchase, and they had an existing house that they sold, and they had a mortgage with TD Bank. And, they were trying to do the blend and extend through TD, and they didn't want to do it. And so they talked to this mortgage broker, these people, and he was able to, using his TD rep, he was able to do the blend and extend, and he actually got them like 3.9% or something like that. And they were really, really happy. And, that's just the benefit, like the sheer benefit of talking to a mortgage broker and getting just a second opinion. Because a lot of times people, if they're refinancing or if they're looking to purchase a new home, they have an existing home to sell, and they've banked with whoever they've banked with forever. Banks don't need to drop their pants for you just because you've been a longstanding customer. Whereas a mortgage broker, if a mortgage broker just happens to deal with the same lender that you currently bank with, mortgage brokers deal in volume. And so chances are they can get you a much better rate, or at least much better terms, through their person, their underwriter, their whoever at the same lender, which is so crazy. But these people are saying they were over the moon happy. That TD wasn't really willing to do anything for them, but his contact was able to give them what they wanted, and super happy. But so rates are sitting around 4.5%. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully they keep coming down a little bit. And, we've got another rate announcement, I believe, Bank of Canada, I think it's April 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's next week.
Yeah, next week. So be interesting to see what happens. I anticipate they'll continue with their pause. It's a little bit different story in the States. They raised their rates last Fed meeting. They went up 25 basis points, which is kind of, it creates a little bit of a hectic situation for Canada's economy, because it just means trading with the US is more expensive, and our dollar is kind of limp behind. The last time I checked, we were like 70 or 74 cents on the US dollar. So, we're getting pretty close to the Canadian peso territory. Yeah. So it just means a little bit more expensive to travel to the States, but it's also two totally different economies. Like, and the mortgage rules are so different. Like in the US, if you bought a house and you locked in for, let's say, 2.5% fixed rate. Well, if it's a 25-year mortgage, that means you're 2.5% for 25 years. There is no refinancing in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Here, we need to renew, or we need to refinance. And, so we have like 25, 30, probably soon to be 40-year amortizations, but, we have terms, and our terms dictate, this is your interest rate for this term. And then you have to, qualify for a new term, a new interest rate. And, so that's why I think the States are in a little bit more of a sticky situation when it comes to their inflation, because they don't have these shorter term mortgages. Everybody's locked in. They're just riding it out. It's not good business for their central bank and their economy. When everybody's riding out a 2.5%, fixed rate on 25 years, like,
they're just not going to move.
No, they're not going to move. And, and we have a lot more regulations and stress testing and everything here, which I feel like we're much better off and much more protected than the US. So two totally different economies, but what they do does still impact us in terms of trade and all that kind of stuff. And it'll just be interesting to see what happens. I think they're going to continue the pause. And I think there are some pressures out there that are suggesting that they might have to start dropping their overnight rate. If they do that, be great. If we were in that mid to high 3% territory on the 5-year fixed, that's great. I think a lot of people are going to, once that happens, they're going to lock in from their variables, and, just all will be well in the world. So, but yeah. You want to hear my crazy story this week?
I do want to hear your crazy story.
Okay. Oh, I forgot the jokes.
Oh, you forgot your jokes. Yeah. Your Easter jokes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we got some Easter jokes, Easter dad jokes. Easter dad jokes. Okay. What does the Easter bunny drink with his breakfast? Espresso.
I don't know what.
Espresso. Why did the Easter bunny cross the road? To meet up with their peeps. Peeps. Easter peeps. What's the Easter bunny's favorite kind of music? Hip hop.
Hip hop.
How does the Easter bunny travel? By hairplane.
Oh, geez.
What kind of jewelry does the Easter bunny wear? 14 karat gold.
Oh yeah.
So those are my Easter dad jokes in anticipation of Easter this coming weekend.
Awesome.
Are you celebrating Easter?
Well, yes and no. We actually have my stepdad's 79th birthday this weekend, and we're celebrating that with our family.
Nice.
And I haven't really decided what else we're doing, because my sister's flying in just for like Saturday and Sunday. So we'll definitely see family this weekend. I just don't know if we're doing something specific for Easter. And yourself?
Nice. Yeah, working like a sucker.
Yeah, I have work to fit in all there. Yeah.
I just think, what would Jesus do? He'd probably be working. So I'm gonna be working.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have lots of work to do this weekend. I'm working every day of the weekend, but carving out some time to see the family.
Yeah, we're doing turkey turkey dinner on Saturday night, so
Nice.
pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be nice. And yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'll tell my story. So this story goes back a few years, maybe, I can't remember now, maybe 3-4 years kind of thing. So it involves a builder. Won't name any names. I won't name the names of the clients, and I won't name the names of the town.
Right.
So basically, I pre-sold a new build home to some people, young couple, and the wife's father was a retired City of Winnipeg building inspector. And needless to say, he was really fun to deal with and very like anal about everything. And
sure, yeah, it's his daughter's house.
Yeah. I saw this meme the other day of it's like buyer's dad during a home inspection.
Yeah, I think I saw the same one.
Yeah, he's on like, he's got a harness on and he's like on the side of the cabinets, and that was literally this guy, like
yeah,
dead-eyed dick, this guy. So anyways, great people, not going to disparage them whatsoever.
No.
And they have a great home, very well built home. So so we put the deal together and everything's going smoothly. The house is under construction and it's at what's called lockup stage. Lockup stage is when, you know, the roof is sheeted, the doors and the windows are in, you know, and they can lock it up now. They put a lockbox with a key on site, and then the trades can kind of come and go. And, you know, builders typically have pretty strict, for the most part, pretty strict policies as it relates to allowing or not allowing purchasers on site whenever they want to come. So
yeah, it's a workplace safety and health issue.
Yeah. It's an open construction site. There's shit all over the place. There's tradespeople, there's tools, everything, you know, and it's significant liability issue and workplace health and safety issue.
Yeah.
So we always suggest that if you want to get into the house, you have someone there that is a representative of the builder. So whether it's the realtor and it's scheduled walkthrough,
right,
or it's with the project management, or it's with the builder, or it's with the designer, somebody, a representative from the builder is there.
Exactly.
A lot of people seem to think that, oh, well, if a tradesperson is there, then it's okay to go in. No. It has to be like, you know, a representative. It has to be, you know, we got to know what's going on. Sometimes the tradespeople, they don't know. So
they're a third party.
right. So these people would ask, you know, they're really nice. They would ask, like the buyers themselves, the young couple, they would ask, you know, a few times to go into the, you know, into the property at certain stages, and that was totally fine. Either I was there or the project manager was there, but the dad decided he was, you know, the king and he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And so one night, this is a Friday night, the house had just gone into lockup stage, and, you know, was at home playing some board games, having a couple drinks, and I don't know what, usually I have my phone on silent or do not disturb after a certain time, but for some reason it was not that way. And my phone starts blowing up at 11:30 at night, and same number. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like somebody's dying here. Like, you know, is it a family member that's calling me about something, you know, emergency? So I answer the phone on like the fourth time or whatever. And it's a guy, and he's like, my name is Constable blah, blah, blah from the RCMP. I'm actually the neighbor on the right side to the house that's under construction and on such and such street. And he's like, there is a truck in the parking in the driveway that's running with headlights on, and there is an older gentleman that's trapped in the basement of the house. He fell, and he's like, I'm trying to get this freaking guy out. I'm like, what? Like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And he said, well, I went outside for a smoke on my back deck, and I heard somebody shouting for help. So I put my shoes on, I walked outside, started walking down the road, and I thought maybe it's just kids, you know, it's a Friday night during the summer.
Yeah.
And it got louder and louder the closer I got to the neighbor's house. And I see this truck there. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Somebody getting murdered? And so he starts yelling back, hello, hello. And then he hears the guy, help me, please help me. And it's coming from this house that we sold. And what happened was the dad decided to go to the bar or the Portuguese club and have a few too many, and then take a secret drive out to this town to go and inspect the property at 11 at night. And showed up there with a flashlight, and it had his high beams on directed at the house, and basically broke in. And I guess what happened was the stair manufacturer. So some builders, they'll build their stairs on site, but this particular builder gets the stairs custom built in a shop by a company. And basically what they do is they come and they just set them in, and they leave it up to the framers to, you know, fasten them in place, tack them up, you know, whatever. Now, this particular property, it was a bi-level home. So it had a drop landing in the front with 6 stairs going up. And then they wanted an extra deep basement. And they wanted an unfinished height from the concrete slab to the bottom of the joist to be 10 feet. And the floor wasn't poured yet. So normally what happens is when the stair guys come and put the stairs in, they have to put, so that people can actually go down the stairs like the tradespeople, they'll strap them up. They'll put like strapping or wood from the joist to the bottom of the stairs so that the stairs are kind of like floating like that. And at least they're supported. Well, they didn't do that. And I think what happened was the stair guy dropped him off, and nobody was working that Friday afternoon or evening. And they figured they'll deal with it on Monday. So here's this guy, his guy breaks in, takes one step on the basement stairs, and they just collapsed. And he fell, and there was a 24-inch, super excessive, but a 24-inch tall footing. And then the dirt, because they hadn't poured the basement floor. So now we're talking 12 or so feet from the dirt to the bottom of the joist. And the window was way too high. Like you couldn't even jump and touch it. And, and he couldn't move. The guy was like, he broke his ankle or his foot or his leg. I can't remember, but he broke something, and he couldn't move. The stairs were way too heavy for one guy to even put back up, you know, to lean up against the landing to climb up the stairs. Yeah. And so he just started yelling out for help. And luckily the RCMP neighbor heard him and tried calling me a bunch of times. And he's like, don't worry, like, I'm going to call EMS. I'm going to get this guy out of here. So he had to go and grab a ladder and put the ladder down. And then he put the stairs back in place and somehow, you know, fished this guy out of the basement. And
holy moly.
Yeah. And then EMS had to come. And the story is no one knew where this guy was. No one knew that he was going out and doing what he was doing. He just decided to do it. Didn't tell his wife, didn't tell the kids, didn't tell anybody. And yeah, it was a big shitstorm. And Monday, the builders got all these threatening emails saying, you know, you need to have better blah, blah, blah on site and all this kind of stuff. And we're like, hey, man, like, you're not supposed to be there at 11:30 at night. You can't just come and go. This is why we have these things, you know, super big safety concern.
Yeah, because it's like a construction site and there's stuff in progress.
Yeah. So but yeah, and then, you know, we put that to bed. That was all, we, you know, figured all that out. But then after that, like, we had very, very strict rules on, you know, but people are people at the end of the day, and they do what they want. And, you know, knock on wood, haven't had anything like that happen again, but it's just, that was a crazy situation. And, yeah, so the moral of the story is, if you're building a house, it's under construction, unless, you know, unless you have express permission, somebody knows where you are, or ideally the builder or a representative of the builder is on site with you, you have no business being on a construction site. People seem to think that, well, it's my house, I paid for it. It's like, well, it's the builder's liability insurance that's on the line, you know? So it's not technically your house until it's paid for. And, you know, this is you know, a gross example of what can happen.
Yeah.
But that's my story. And hopefully that never happens again.
No kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
thank God that neighbor heard him.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that. Oh man.
Yeah.
The concrete truck could have come and poured the basement right over the guy.
Oh, jeez. That sounds extreme, but
yeah, that's a little extreme. Yeah, yeah, no, that would have never happened. But yeah, thankful for that guy, and that he was an RCMP too. Like he knew and what to do. So
yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah. So this week's topic, I figured we'd talk about house hacking. You know, with the interest rates, you know, they're not really high, but where, you know, now that they are where they are,
and housing prices are a little ridiculous.
Yeah, housing prices are crazy, and you know, rental prices are even crazier. You know, the rental market is like, when real estate prices are where they are, and the market is ripping in the resale market or the housing market, the rental market also goes crazy, you know, because people swing back and forth. People need a place to live. They need a place to live. And the fact is, we don't have enough housing to support the demand, even for tenants. And it's making it really difficult even for people to get a decent rental out there. So I figured it would be kind of cool to talk about this. You know, house hacking, I was doing some research on it. You know, a lot of these things, I've had clients, so anecdotally, you know, kind of have a little bit of experience with this. I've had plenty of clients that have done this kind of thing, and I'm working with some clients actually right now that are looking to do this, and I think it's a really, really great idea. But maybe let's go and talk about what is house hacking and what are the different kind of options for house hacking. So house hacking is finding a way to generate income from your single family home. Traditionally, back in the day, house hacking meant purchasing a multifamily property, living in one unit, renting out the others, so that your tenants can pay down your mortgage, and then the owner builds equity while maintaining the property. So like when I drive around the West Kildonan area or the old East Kildonan area, there are tons and tons of 50s and 60s built, purpose-built duplexes in, you know, R1 zoned areas. And that was really common back then, where, you know, my grandparents, or, you know, even like uncles and aunts would do that. They would buy or build back in the 50s and 60s, you know, purpose-built duplex, up-down duplex, or side-by-side, live in one side, the other one. You know, that was when interest rates were like way higher than they are now, obviously, but and properties were a lot cheaper. But you know, it's such a great idea. And, you know, I feel like it's more common nowadays, especially in our market. I was reading up on it. And so house hacking is a modern lifestyle choice that borrows heavily from old school ways and has been reimagined with the help of modern home sharing platforms. And it says, yeah, your grandparents might have owned a 2-story family house or 2-family house in a city before being able to cobble together enough money to move to the brand new suburb. You may have owned in the past, a single family house, you know, and rented it out, rented out a couple rooms, or, you know, so we'll get into, you know, the types of house hacking, and I'll kind of talk about what some of my clients have done.
Right.
So yeah, let's take a look at some of the most common ways a house hacker earns their rental income. So the first way is to, like I mentioned, purchase a multifamily home as your single family residence, your primary residence. So if you're a young couple, or, you know, if you're interested in being a landlord, you can buy a duplex. You can qualify for the minimum down payment, 5%. As long as you're claiming it as your primary residence, you can live in one side and have the neighbors essentially pay your mortgage for you. You know, nice thing about that is if you're open to being a landlord, not everybody is, but if you're open to being a landlord, you know, you can make sure that your tenants aren't screwing around. Like it's tangible. It's right there. You can deal with it if there's a problem. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. It's great because, you know, you're touching it, you're feeling it, it's tangible, you know exactly what's going on. Hopefully your neighbors are great, you get along with them, or your tenants. But the curse is that, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit too close for comfort. So it's hard to find that balance, you know, when you're a landlord. So yeah, you can use the in-house income to pay down your existing mortgage, which ultimately, you know, pays down the principal, helps to build equity. It can help with utilities. It can help with property taxes. You know, it's a really great idea for a lot of people. And a lot of these ideas that one in particular is a really great kind of entry point, I feel like, for a lot of people that are thinking about getting into real estate investing. Because if you purchase a single family home and you house hack it, it could be, you know, the direction that you need to determine, okay, do I want to keep doing this? It's like a great jumping off point for people.
Yeah.
The other house hacking idea is to, if you owned a single family home, if you bought like a house with, you know, 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms or even 3 bedrooms, you can offer up rooms in your home for short or long-term rentals. So like a Kijiji ad, looking for a roommate or looking for someone to rent my, you know, 10 by 10 bedroom in my 1,100 square foot house, and then list some of the amenities that would be included with renting that room. Maybe you'll probably have full access to the kitchen. Like everybody's going to share the kitchen.
Right.
So again, I mean, you got to be really comfortable with living with people, and you have to be diligent in vetting those people, because ultimately you're going to be sharing your living space with them, you know. So if you're not someone who would be willing to do that in a duplex where they have their own bathroom and they have their own kitchen, then you're probably not the type of person to do it in your own home where you're sharing all that stuff. So
one of my friends who has done it, she's really anal, and when she would have someone who is living with her that was messy or whatever, she would just go to her spreadsheet and see how much money she was saving.
Oh yeah.
to remind herself why she put something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You got to be really careful. Like, so the only way that I could really make it in Winnipeg as like a student that was studying part-time and then having to work basically full-time is to live with roommates. And luckily they were all guys that I kind of knew and grew up with. And, you know, but even then there was definitely some struggles, you know, if my name was on the lease, right? So, you know, constantly having to tell guys to like clean up their shit or do like the necessary chores. And it's like trying to herd cats. It just doesn't work. But, you know, so if you're somebody who has the gumption and the wherewithal and the patience for that can be a phenomenal way to build equity in a single family home. And when you're building that equity over time, you can leverage that equity to then purchase maybe your actual primary residence, you know, keep that as the rental. And, you know, as long as you're declaring that next home as your primary, you'll still qualify for 5%.
Right.
As long as you can prove that you have at least 20% paid down on your existing one. Right.
Exactly.
So it's a great way the house hack is that you can use what people are paying you to rent your rooms as like a really quick equity builder and then leverage that to buy something else. While still owning another asset. You know, as long as you have an asset, a real estate asset, the bank loves you. You could leverage that thing till the cows come home and just keep doing that. You know, looking back on it now, like if I was a single guy, I'd probably be all over that idea. So, but yeah, not everybody can live with roommates, you know, and tell people to like clean up after themselves and do their dishes. And this one is something that I'm working with some people right now who are wanting to do this one. It's purchase a house with housemates.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I've got some clients right now, two sisters who are a little bit getting up there in age. They're both retired. They want to purchase a property with their friend.
Yeah.
But they're very specific on the area that they want to be in. And they want 6 bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
Or 5 bedrooms with an office.
Yeah.
And, you know, but if you're retired and you're a single person, or even if you're like 2 couples together, it could be a great way to share expenses. And then you've got someone else looking out for you, right?
Yeah, I recently read this article about 3 single moms who bought a house together, and then they were like sharing home care and chores and not home care, but you know, childcare, right? Like, so like you think like you were raised by a single mom, like my mom was single for a while, and like the support, like think of
it takes a village, right? Takes a village, as they say.
Exactly. So I'm like, what an awesome idea.
Yeah. And then, you know, I feel like COVID kind of, like we saw a mass exodus of people leaving the city to go move outside of town.
Yeah.
And while I never had anyone seriously act on this idea, my wife and I joked around with it. Tara and I joked around with it with our friends, like our really close friends. We were like, hey, we should buy a beautiful acreage and build like either like 2 houses that are attached or 2 houses on the same property.
Yeah.
And have a commune.
Yeah.
Share the expenses, share the property taxes. Everybody's got their own thing that their own zone of genius that they're good at. Yeah. You know, my wife is really phenomenal at growing food. Yeah. You know, so we could have an amazing garden, you know, and then you know, I take care of maintenance or somebody else takes care of maintenance, and then we share the load.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, you got to think of doing that with someone or family who's who you really love, really trust.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. I have that similar idea of doing that into retirement with some of my other child-free couple friends.
Yeah.
Because as we age, like, we don't have kids to take care of us. And not that I think anyone's kids should have to take care of them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that, like, setting yourself up a community of people that can pool resources, you know, like, I know that there's at least a couple of houses in the city where they, you know, have hired a personal chef so that none of them have to do the cooking anymore. And they've hired a nurse to come in every day to do whatever, because they're seniors, right? Like, to do whatever care that they require. And I'm like, what a great idea. Instead of having to rely on our government supplied home care isn't always the greatest, right?
No. Yeah. And you can do like pool money together, have like a reserve fund, so to speak, that everybody has access to. And maybe you name someone as the treasurer and someone as the president or whatever, you know, just a little quasi condo corporation.
Right.
But like, you know, then everybody's sharing responsibilities, and you can pool those saved resources to have an amazing chef, like, cook you food. And, you know, you could really live like a great life that way. I love that.
Yeah. And I know some people are like, oh, the drama. But on the other hand, like, is that not what marriage is like? Right?
Yeah. Like, it's not Vanderpump Rules here.
I mean, there's drama in every relationship. So unless you're going to live by yourself for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I'm not talking about a swingers commune here. We're talking about
No, I wasn't talking. Yeah.
The other, so that was number 3, purchase property with housemates. Number 4 is build an accessory dwelling unit on your property. So this is commonly referred to as a secondary suite, but a detached secondary suite. So here's an example. So I have some clients that they built a home in the country, out past Enola in the bush. They have many children, and they're homeschooled, their kids, and you know, they have like kind of like a little mini hobby farm thing. They have pigs and chickens and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty awesome. And their mom retired, and single mom, and really wanted to be closer to the grandkids, but there wasn't a lot of options for her to purchase or rent close to where they live. So they got a conditional use permit, and they applied for a variance, and they had a builder build her a small square footage home on their existing property so that she could be a live-in grandma, babysitter, take care of the kid, take care of the grandkids. So if the parents wanted to go away somewhere, if they had, you know, they work normal jobs just like everybody else. And but it was a great retirement plan for her. The benefit of it, she shares the load of the property taxes on the property. So they figured out a little solution. And then, she pays down like basically she paid for the build of this property. And, you know, at least they don't have to take their kids to daycare. They don't have to take them to babysit. They don't have to get a babysitter, you know, if they go away. And it's like, just quality of life is so much better. But even if you were to do that, you know, the reverse could be like, you know, an older couple or mom and dad that have a child that they're trying to, for the lack of a better term, get off the tit, and they want them to go out and, you know, build some equity, or, you know, and they don't want their son or daughter or children to pay somebody else's mortgage and rent something. So maybe they build like a little house or something on their property, and have them live there, pay their share of the equity, and then at least they have something to show for it later on. And I've seen more and more people do this with ready to move houses. So if you have an acreage, you can hire a company to build you a ready to move it on site, get it all serviced. And yeah, and at least you have an asset later on. You can pick that ready to move house up and move it somewhere else, move it onto another property later on.
Right.
So that's a really great idea. The other idea is to provide rental space on your property. Now, this isn't like house rental or living, so to speak, but more so for if you have an acreage or if you have a property that's large enough, you could establish like some storage opportunities for people.
Right. Even renting your parking space if you live close to like U of W.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I just sold a condo on Pembina and it came with 2 parking stalls. They only need one. One's inside, so the owner is going to use the inside one. They have an outside one that's just going to collect snow and dust. So I said, why don't you guys rent that for however much a month, like super close to the U of M? Like you'll have no issue renting that out.
Yeah, they should be able to get good money for that too, because I'm pretty sure like my mom's in Beausejour and I know one of her neighbors is paying almost $100 a month for an outdoor spot.
Yeah.
In Beausejour.
Wow. Yeah. So great little rental income opportunities that aren't necessarily living in something. You know, if you have a shop or if you have a barn, you don't use it for anything else than, you know, collecting your crap. Like, why don't you make a income opportunity out of it? Like get some insurance and then offer like inside storage for people. So you want to store your
workspace.
Or workspace. Yeah. Rent it out to a mechanic or rent it out to somebody like that. Like if you got a building, you know, and you're not using it, somebody else would probably love to use it. If you got a shop on your property, hey, a lot of people looking for a grow op. Like rent it out to frickin', you know, like a drug cartel or something. Maybe don't do that, but
no, maybe don't do that one.
Yeah, but I have seen people renting out shops, getting insurance for mobile home storage or trailer storage or motorcycle or like maybe they have like a nice car or something like that they want to store all the time. Make a couple extra bucks.
Exactly.
I even had a client who had some acreage up by the Arama Woodlands. And he had his house site and then he had like green space beside the house site and it was zoned appropriately. So if it's not zoned appropriately, you have to look at getting, you know, talk to the bylaws or talk to the RM and get either a rezoning application, a variance, conditional use, whatever you need to do. But their property, what they were able to do was they had a buddy who was in construction and he wanted to start building RTMs or like tiny homes. So they had a shop there. He could store all of his equipment in the shop. He had power and they let him use a portion of their property to build RTMs as an income opportunity for the contractor. But he essentially rented that use of that barn or that shop and the land to basically park those RTMs there. Nice. And the RM was okay with it and everybody was okay with it. They made a couple, basically paid for his property taxes and then some. So that's pretty cool. Also what's really popular now is yoga studios, you know. So if you you have a property and you can do like a little carriage house or a secondary building on the property, you can rent it out to people who are looking for space for yoga studios or malokas for like different ceremonies. You know, a lot of the spiritual community is always looking for stuff like that and, you know, would probably love to rent something like that on a month to month. So just different ideas. It all depends on the zonings and all that kind of stuff. Just talk to your RM. And then the sixth one, the last one that I thought of was doing a live-in flip.
Yeah.
So, you know, buying an older home that's in need of some repairs. Maybe it's like got grandma's wallpaper and carpet and stuff like that, but the bones are good. This is like the best way that you can build some serious equity in your single family home, is to sweat equity the work, right?
Right.
If you're capable, if you're handy, do the work yourself. Don't go and hire, the top-notch deluxe renovation company. Try to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is a powerful tool. You can probably learn how to do a lot of stuff yourself. Pull the carpet up, refinish the hardwood floors. You can rent all those tools and equipment.
Yeah.
But let's suppose a house in a neighborhood sells for average sale price $250,000. And there's a house that has, maybe it's an estate sale or a power of attorney sale. Maybe it's fallen into disrepair. You buy that house for 180 grand and you factor in $20,000 of sweat equity into that house. It's basically just your time and in the material to fix it up. And, maybe you put 20 grand into it and it takes you 6 months while you're living in that house to do the repairs. You'll be paying the mortgage down at the same time that you're living there. So that's a hack. Then in 6 months, if you get everything the way you want and it's renovated, you paint it, you refinish the floors, you even paint the cabinets if they're in good shape, put new hardware, lighting, put some nice fancy wallpaper up. Just there's so much stuff that you can do cost effectively, raise value in a house. In 6 months, if everything goes as planned, you could walk away with 50K in equity. You could literally increase the value of that house by an additional 50 grand.
Right.
So I've seen people do it. I mean, it's a pain in the ass when you're living through a renovation, but if you have the wherewithal and you're okay with that, great. Me, I lived with roommates who were pigs. I'm like a cockroach. I could live anywhere, right? So for me, I'd be totally fine. But again, not everybody has that ability, right?
No, I went from living with my mom to living with my husband. I don't know if I could live with other people.
But yeah, I mean, the great thing about house hacking, this opportunity versus just going out and buying a buy and hold. If you own a single family home and you want to buy a rental, now you got to qualify for 20% down, right?
Yeah.
This way you can get in 5% down, single family home, house hack it, build equity, leverage, then go and buy your house that you want to live in, or just keep doing it.
Keep doing that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a really great opportunity to, build some serious wealth in real estate. I was looking up, this is just like an example of why house hacking makes financial sense by just looking at the numbers. So it says, let's say you buy a duplex for 400 grand. And let's say you were able to put down 20% on a 3.5% 30-year amortized mortgage. Monthly mortgage payment would be approximately $1,436 a month. The principal and interest payment, that would be the principal and interest payment on a $320,000 mortgage. Let's assume that you live on one side or on one floor of the house. You find a tenant who pays you $2,000 a month rent. That will pay off 100% of the mortgage, and you'll have a monthly excess. You'll have cash flow of about just over $500 that you can use to cover, your insurance, taxes, any repairs, stuff like that. After 5 years of doing that, so if you can suck it up for 5 years, you would have built home equity worth over $32,000, almost $33,000, and then you'd owe about $287,000 in your mortgage. And now you qualify for 5% on the next one because you've now paid down 20% and more, and you can keep doing that.
Yeah.
And it's actually insane. And it's like the compounding effect on money, right? And it just keeps compounding. It keeps compounding, keeps paying down that principal. So not only do you have like 3 ways that you're winning. You have someone else paying your mortgage, paying your principal. They're literally, it's like opening a bank account and having that person just deposit money in there every single month. But now you also have natural market appreciation. So as the real estate values of the area that you own that property and increase, so does yours. So that's helping to compound the equity. And then you have forced appreciation. So as you own that home, you're going to be making repairs, you're going to be doing things, you're going to be increasing the economic life, which is going to force appreciation. Now when you go to sell that property, it's like just crazy, you know?
Yeah.
That's why real estate is such an amazing tool and investment. But
yeah. And that's if you have the right tenants.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to get the right. You don't want panty sniffers like your friend there.
Right.
The panty bandit.
Yeah. Yeah. And the panty bandit. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're worried about, you know, if you're living with roommates, you can always get cameras and, you know, put locks on your
luckily
bedroom
she
door.
had a camera. What she didn't do is she didn't normally lock her primary bedroom door because I guess she trusted her roommates to, you know, stay out of each other's bedrooms. But but once she had a suspicion, thank goodness she's very anal, and she noticed that her Tuesday underwear weren't where they were supposed to be. So she set up a camera. And caught the tenant coming into her primary bedroom and going through her underwear drawer.
Oh my God.
So yes, if you're going to share your space, make sure you're locking your primary bedroom door and be really vetting people really well. Because like if you're doing short-term rentals, like, you know, Airbnb, I often, you know, when I go to Hamilton to visit my niece and nephew, I often will stay in a bedroom in someone's house. And because, you know, what is it, $40 a night versus a hotel room, right? And the place I stay, it has an ensuite bathroom. And so I have my own bathroom and bedroom. But what's to keep whoever's staying in that room from going into the rest of the house and going through stuff, or vice versa, them going through my stuff, right? Yeah, when I'm staying, I don't have anything to worry about because I don't take anything that I'm leaving there while I'm not there that I have to worry about. But yeah, you have to think of those things and protect yourself.
Yeah, like that's one thing that I wanted to talk about too. Is another option is a live-in STR, like a live-in short-term rental. There is a lot of that. If you go on Airbnb and you're in a city and you need a real cheap place to stay, like you can just go on Airbnb, find a bedroom for $40 a night or whatever. It's totally possible.
It totally is.
Yeah. And that's another opportunity, but there are some STR changes that are coming down the pipe for Winnipeg that are basically going to make it almost impossible to have a short-term rental. And I don't know, maybe that's something we could talk about in another episode, but there are some people in the city here who have made it their primary business model to own short-term rentals, Airbnbs and stuff like that. And City of Winnipeg doesn't want it anymore. So they've made it almost impossible for people to do it now. So
I definitely see the pluses and minuses. Like a lot of the neighbors find it, it's loud. There's always something going on or whatever, right?
Yeah. Like I find STRs are, like, oftentimes, if you think about it, they're often better maintained. Like they're much better maintained over the long term than a 1-year lease tenant, because the homeowner or the maintenance guy or the property manager,
they're in there every other day cleaning it,
maintaining it, making notes. Like they're way better off. But
I think the ones that get complained about the most are likely more recreational, like a house with a pool. Because there's more likely to be, as everyone turns over, there's more parties, there's more, right? Like more things going on in the backyard. since pot became legal, you're smelling a lot more pot in your neighborhood now.
Yeah.
And you might blame it on
Yeah,
PSR, whether or not it is.
Yeah, it's I'm just thinking about the cottage that Tara and I rent. Owners of the Airbnb in Clear Lake, don't cover your ears, but when we rent that place, it is like party central. And you know, the neighbors are probably like, oh my God, here comes the Boschmans again. You know, like, well, pre-call the cops. Like, no, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy, but we can turn it up pretty heavy. And so I get both sides for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I get both sides too. We have dogs, so I mean, the last place we stayed that we were, you know, renting short term was Canmore, and we were in the bottom unit. So we had the people above us. I had toddlers, so all you hear is like, and then the dogs bark because they're not used to all that noise. Yeah, and it's so hard to keep them from barking. And you know, when we're in Canmore, we're only in our suite like first thing in the morning and then we're like out until like we might stop in around dinner time, like before dinner. And then we're back out until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. And we have our dogs with us, so I never leave them in there. But when we are there, it's hard to keep them quiet. Yeah. I can see STRs being really annoying in a multifamily building or a condo building where, you know, everybody's got to share the hallway. And then you got, you know, these drunk piss tanks who are stumbling down the hallway, you know, puking on people's doors and making a mess. Right. Or competing to use the pool area or. Yeah. Then it would be really annoying. But you know, single family home or a cottage like makes total sense. Cottage makes sense. But yeah, that covers off, I think, house hacking topic. House hacking, yeah. And now, last but not least, let's shout out some local businesses. So you go first, Denise. I just put one down for this week. Niverville Smitty's just opened yesterday. I think they had their soft open over the weekend, but we did order yesterday and they were awesome. And who doesn't love wings from Smitty's? So yeah. Smitty's is great. Like, it's always been consistently good. Even the one in North Kildonan on Henderson there. Their breakfasts are just, I can just imagine. I'm just picturing in my mind, like Sunday morning, Smitty's breakfast in Niverville. There's probably so many. Let's start having a morning meeting there. Yeah, it's probably bumping. You know how many leads you could pick up there? There we go. Yeah. Smitty's breakfast. You got to get there like right when they open though. Super early. Get all the people with money. They always show up, all the rich retired Mennonites. Yeah. Go for their early bird. Yeah. Smitty's is great. Mine this week. So I've got a restaurant. Tara and I went to with some friends. It's in Wolseley. Kind of like a really cool hipster joint. It's called Bonnie Day Restaurant. They have like a full service bar, really great cocktail menu. But it's like, you know, sit down restaurant, but it's tapas style. So you order shareable dishes and plates. And yeah, it was really, really good. The service was great. The guy was like very, what do you call it? Very animated and super happy and go lucky. My favorite dishes were the sweet potato gnocchi. That sounds really good. Roasted cauliflower hummus and the whipped feta. It's just like kind of like a dip. It reminded me of like the best sour cream and onion ripple chip dip that you'd ever have, but it had like cherry tomatoes in it, and oh man, it was so good. Yeah, you could lure me into a cage with that stuff.
And then, so yeah, Bonnie Day Restaurant, 898 Westminster. It's right in Hipsterville there. You know, if you sprinkled granola on the sidewalk, they'd all come running out. So, so that's the restaurant. And then business related, home inspector. So
Yeah.
use this guy on and off. He's always done a really good job for my clients, and he's got a great eye for stuff. It's Jeremy Winton with he used to be with Red Seal Home Inspections, recently started his own company called JW Home Inspections. Yeah, I'll give him a shout out because you know, even we did a new build home inspection where my clients were moving in from out of town, and he found a lot of stuff that, you know, the builder was like, okay, this is pretty overkill, but it was eye-opening to say the least. And I know my clients really, really appreciated his honesty and how thorough he was.
Yeah. I had a couple people use him recently too.
Yeah. It's very, very thorough. Great at explaining things, you know, and yeah. So Jeremy Winton, JW Home Inspections, if anybody out there is looking for a great inspector, I'd highly recommend giving him a call. Yeah, I think that's it for this week, eh?
That's awesome.
All right. Thanks everybody again for checking out the pod. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, have a great Easter weekend. Yeah, go turkey, go ham. Go Jesus.
We need a Jets winner. We might not make the playoffs, so go.
Yeah, we gotta clinch it. We gotta clinch it. Even if we clinch it, we're probably out first round anyway.
I'm sure we will be. They're not doing very well this year. Well, since January.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.
Bye for now.